All right. So we're hot. We're hot.
Heck yeah.
It's and I'll be honest. I'm a little draggy today.
Really?
I'm not sure why.
Really? I'm bright and spry.
I know.
I totally overslept this morning.
Shall we roll into it?
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Hello once again, everyone. It is one more time before the end of 2023. The only podcast that's 118% about bicycles. Shiftless. Featuring the one, the only, the magnificent Chef Brad Green.
Whatever. You sound like a radio DJ from the 80s. Welcome to Shiftless.
Welcome to Shiftless.
Man, the sun came out. It's a beautiful day.
This day just went up 18,000%.
Mm-hmm. We're supposed to have rain tomorrow. Oh, beautiful.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be a good gumbo day then, right?
Yes. Yes.
So how much gumbo will you be preparing this year?
It's yet to be determined, but I
Guesstimate.
bought probably 10 gallons.
Okay. So how many stock pots do you have going at one time? How does your
Two.
Okay,
Two.
so you're rotating two?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll build everything. My chicken, I cooked the chicken last night, which I do a slow simmer on the birds with the normal aromatics, the Cajun Trinity, Holy Trinity.
Bam!
Yeah. Celery, onions, garlic, and bell peppers. And then I put 2 fresh jalapenos in there as well. But fresh thyme, a bundle of fresh thyme, green onions as well, bay leaves, peppercorns, sea salt. I think that's it. But I simmer that and then scoop the chickens out, put them to bed for the night, and then strain the stock off. And that's what I start my gumbo with, that stock.
That stock.
It is beautiful,
That
too.
sounds gorgeous.
I tasted it last night. I could have drank it.
Yeah.
It was so good. I build my gumbo completely backwards from what the norm is.
Okay.
But this is the way I was taught. I bring my stock up and I add my veg to it. And then my veg, I add okra and green onions 3 different times. So the okra, the initial charge of okra starts to break down. Mm-hmm. Second one almost broken down, and the third
one you got your chunky okra.
Yeah, that's good. And then green onions, same thing. I add green onions at the very beginning, and I add green onions at the very end.
Okay.
And then my roux I cook in the oven.
Wait a minute. Walk me through that.
So cast iron, 425 degree oven, or hotter if you're in a hurry. Equal parts oil and flour,
Oil of choice?
Yeah, neutral. And then stir it all together. Put it in the oven the first time 10 minutes. And then pull it out. And then you just continue to put it in the oven and stir it.
Okay.
Pull it out, stir it, put it in the oven. It just, instead of cooking it on the cooktop, we have to stir it constantly.
Right.
And the last part happens really quick.
Real quick.
You can sneak up on it, and it's actually almost a barometer or a timer for my gumbo.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what's your roux to stock ratio? How do you determine that?
I really don't have a ratio. It's an eyeball thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guesstimate. I mean,
I'll do a large cast iron. I'll show you my large cast iron skillet. I'll typically do that. It'll be, half to 2/3 full.
Okay.
And I'll probably use the majority of that for my 2 stock pots of gumbo.
Okay.
So, and then at the end, I'm going to meld my gumbo together, and then I'll toast off my sausage, not toast it, but skillet it as well.
Okay.
And that'll be the start of my oil. For my roux. And then I'll take my sausage, my chicken will get picked, and that stuff will get mixed in at the very last second.
Last bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it.
There's other stuff that happens too, but that's what's fit for public consumption.
Yes, I understand completely. I was wanting to get the general framework, particularly around the large batch of it.
Yeah.
Because I am interested in batch cooking.
Can you see that stock pot from where you sit? You need to lean that way.
I do see it.
That's the one I cooked stock in last night.
Okay.
So.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, so what's going on in the world of cycling?
I don't know at the moment. To be honest with you, the podcasts my cycling podcasts I've been listening to this week, they're all kind of like doing this year-end review thing where they're kind of talking about the stuff they've already talked about this year, and it's like people don't want to hear us talking about the same shit over and over and over. Like e-bikes and UDH and. Actually, maybe I can play with your crystal ball, and maybe we should do a preview for 2024. What we think might be coming around the corner, or is that too much to spring on you on a late morning?
I'm good with whatever. I can.
Thank you, Paula.
Beautiful. Hey, look at this. Look at this, baby girl.
What? Oh.
Kevin got a what is it? A burner?
A laser engraver, laser cutter.
Fun.
So we're gonna do some customized awards going into 2024. But I think I think we got stuff that can help some friends out too.
That's cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
Like I said, that was just the first try with that.
How'd you pull the file?
It was on your website. It was the main image on your website.
But you were able to capture it and utilize the code from it?
It's just copy an image.
Okay. So it's that easy. You don't have to have like a GIF file or something like that.
Well, I mean that's basically what I pulled. That's what's on your website.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
I'm not selling them, so I don't expect any cease and desist letters from you or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't ever make another one unless it's for me.
Now, actually, one thing I do want to do before I forget, because I sent you that link with the
I watched that.
The podcast stats and so forth. It was pretty generic, but I thought it kind of gave an interesting overview of the year. But one thing I definitely want to do, if you're listening to this, thank you very much. We appreciate that tremendously.
Yeah, because without listeners, we would still be talking.
we just be talking to each other.
We'd be talking without recording and without casting it out there. We'd just be having a conversation.
Jan asked me the other day. She's like, "Well, somebody at the Holiday Ramble said y'all talked about my Subaru in your podcast." I said multiple times.
Where have you been, Jan?
She's like, "Do I need to start listening to this?" No, you really don't.
No.
But again, a huge thank you to everyone that has been listening, and one little favor to ask. We get Spotify sent us some stats for the year-end wrap-up that we just glanced at, and I forwarded that to Brad. Nothing earth-shattering, but the one thing that was really interesting to me was the amount of new listeners that were picked up basically by referral. Text links and hyperlinks that people emailed. I expected it to be almost mostly
word of mouth and
social media based, it was like it was people sending links to, hey, listen to this specific show sort of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. So if you're spreading the word about us, we appreciate that tremendously.
If I recall correctly, it was like 2% by social media.
I think it was 2% Instagram and 4% Facebook or something like that, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
It was like 50% were direct links or shared links, I think is what it said, or something like that. And then another like 20% or 25% text links, which I found that very interesting. It's like, if somebody's sending a text link, we piss somebody off. Oh, listen to this shit.
Oh, my sinuses are killing me again. So SRAM recalled all of their 12-speed shifters, brifters. SRAM issues a recall of 12-speed shifters sold in the aftermarket Oh, that's October 31st.
I'm about
This
to
is
say,
old news.
that's not new.
I think we already talked about that. I didn't even remember that, actually.
I think we did talk about it. I think it was
Which,
it was just OEM, if I remember right. It was
says aftermarket.
No, it's the after. No, that's right. OEM was fine.
Yeah.
So if your bike came with it, it's okay. But if you did did an upgrade with it, there were issues of some sort. No idea what that's all about. I will be honest with you though. I'm getting retro grouchier by the day. I am firmly entrenched in the camp of I don't need no electronic shifting. Our friend Adam had another battery issue at Holiday Ramble this past weekend.
Oh, that's interesting. I saw him last night. He did not mention that.
So he had single speed for quite a bit.
Really?
And I've lost track. I'm out of the loop on electronic shifting. So beat me with a wet noodle. So what? I guess there's batteries in the brifters themselves and the derailleur and
Yeah, they take like a key fob style battery. Was a 2032 or whatever.
I think that's what he said. 2032.
But those things don't have an infinite life, and there's no way to know when those batteries are going to die.
And that's what he ran into.
Yeah, there's no indicator on there.
Yeah,
anything.
it just poop.
I think they recommend there's like an interval at which they recommend you change them.
Yeah.
But I mean that's like you'd have to set a reminder in your phone or something.
It's getting too complex to ride bicycles.
Just ride your damn bike. Get you a single speed. Ride your damn bike. Put some liners in the tires. We had a good gift exchange last night too. That was fun.
Okay.
For TNSS. It's always like cycling oriented stuff. So it was fun. I came away with a pair of Velo orange, not mustache bars, but like swept bars.
Yeah.
That I'm actually kind of excited about.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good gifts. And then our buddy, Mr. Adam Phillips, gave me a Christmas present as well. I was trying to figure out how to use it.
Is this safe for work?
Yeah. He gave me an Ember coffee mug.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to figure out how to use it with my sleepy eyes this morning, but I need to RTFM.
What is an Ember coffee mug?
It's a chargeable mug that keeps your coffee warm.
Ah.
And you can customize it so it keeps your coffee at the temperature.
That's very, very Adam.
It's so Adam. He's trying to teach me the ways. He's my Obi-Wan.
He probably does not approve of the Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
No, this is not Dunkin' Donuts. This is a Cultivar Guatemalan.
I caught a hint of Guatemala in this. I lean towards the Guatemalans myself.
It's delicious. I like Guatemalan and Ethiopian.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're on the same page. I like that earthy tone the Guatemalans bring in. So
that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Cigars and coffees are both strike me kind of the same. I say that it's been forever since I had a cigar.
I haven't had a cigar, and I couldn't even tell you when. Look at this monstrosity. What is this shit? That's the thing that's when we talk about e-bikes, like everybody has a different picture of an e-bike in their mind. Like last night, there was a female coming off the trail, and she was on a Marin e-bike. And we chatted with her because she was loading up right next to the circle. And there was another girl that was with her, and they were parting ways. You know, they had obviously met there. And she was like, have fun on your trip. And Chris was there. There were other females in our circle, so it wasn't like a bunch of weird dudes hollering at this chick.
Understood.
But we already had the fire pit going and stuff, and so we're talking to her, and she said that was their second ride on that bike. They had went to Bentonville, Arkansas, her and her fiance, and rented a pair to ride Kohler. And they both had so much fun that her fiance bought both of them e-bikes. And I said, sounds like he bought you one because he wanted one. And she goes, yeah, he did the same thing with whatever else. And I go, it sounds like you should marry him. And she goes, yeah, I'm planning on it. He's my fiance. And I go, yeah, I picked up on that. Picked up on the intent there. But then you have demons like this that looks like some city commuter, small wheel, large frame, double battery. It says it's a part-time cargo.
It's actually the cargo e-bike is the biggest growing
Yeah.
segment right now, is my understanding.
Yeah.
And I mean, those things can carry like 420 pounds, 420.
420. Huh, you don't say.
What does that one say what the capacity is? Do you have the details, specs on it right there?
Stand by.
And for our listeners, which one are you looking at there? What brand and model is that? It's a cargo e-bike.
Tern. Tern. That's the same people that make the helmets? They make helmets too, I think.
Possibly.
So this thing weighs 52 pounds.
Okay.
It's $3,299. See how much it says. Max gross weight capacity of 331 pounds.
Okay. So that's not a 420 one, but that's still a pretty good. That's still.
Wait.
Well.
Wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
This just in. Max gross weight capacity of 331 pounds and max capacity, rear rack capacity of 110 pounds. So I'm still waking up, but what does that mean? Max gross weight capacity of 331 pounds.
It means it will haul 331 pounds.
Here, I gotta have some of this H2O.
Yeah. 331 pounds of total weight on the bike. So rider, gear, cargo, 331 pounds.
But you don't count the weight of the bike.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. This glass is filthy, Paula. You're fired. Okay. But then is that separate from the max capacity, rear rack capacity of 110 pounds?
Yes. Well,
So-
no. I'm sorry.
That's included.
Yes,
But
that's
they're
included.
They're saying the rack itself
The
can
rack,
only
that
hold
rear
110.
rack can carry 100. That's plenty. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all good. The rack itself can carry 110 pounds.
See, and I mean,
So
our listeners don't know where I live, but
So
I
if-
have no use for a cargo bike.
if you weigh 200 pounds,
You can carry 131 pounds.
you can carry 110 pounds on the rear rack and another 20 pounds,
21.
21.
It's so oddly specific, 331 pounds, but it's because it's 150 kilograms.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
I was going standard for our American listeners.
I understand. But according to our stats,
Yeah, okay.
we are worldwide.
We'll start converting everything to metric for you, for those from Canada.
Yeah, just look for the infographic
Yeah.
with the metric conversion.
I was telling, we were talking. Well, I've been working on my truck the past almost 3 days, and it's funny how the majority of the stuff on my American truck is now metric. Bolts, all the bolts were metric, and it was interesting that the parts that I had to order because of EPA and all that stuff, they all come out of Canada. Mm-hmm. And I was making a joke about here on my American truck, everything's metric, and then I order stuff from Canada, and it has standard size bolts with it, but it didn't. It was just a joke, and it just makes so much more sense. How come we're such late adopters to the metric system as far as tool sizes go? I mean, it makes so much more sense.
It would make sense for everything to be standardized.
Yeah. I mean, metric is like, what's bigger than a 10 millimeter? 11 millimeter. What's bigger than 9/16? 5/8.
5/8.
Yeah. But I mean, it becomes second nature, but it's
memorization.
yeah, but it's
There's a difference between memorization
and logic.
yes, yes.
Yeah. But I'm happy that bikes are all metric. I mean, everything's Allen 3, 4, 5.
Understood. I mean, when I was in grade school in the early 70s, mid 70s, I mean, we were
late 60s.
No, I'm not that old.
That was me being a dick.
It was a big deal that they were focusing on teaching us the metric system. I don't know if younger kids went through that as well, but it was, in the 70s, we were convinced we would be converting to the metric system.
Yeah, but we were also convinced that we were going to die in a nuclear war.
And you know what?
It still might be true.
I don't know that was an unrealistic expectation.
And we were also taught cursive, which is borderline extinct at this point.
Pretty close.
I had a table on Saturday night, and they probably 2 courses of delivering, I heard them talking about cursive. They were talking about how they wrote certain letters and how their teacher taught them and all this, and then the tie-up for the conversation was, but now we don't even use it. We're spent years learning how to write cursive.
We're to the point where there's a lot of people that can't read cursive now.
And there's a lot of people that can't drive a standard.
Oh, that's been the best anti-theft device on our Jeeps for years. That was one of the downsides of converting to the Subaru.
Yeah.
The best part of it in the Jeep was daughters had no interest in learning how to drive a stick shift, so we never had to let them drive the Jeep. My guess is they'll be all over the Subaru when they have a chance.
Yeah.
But
that Subaru is a bad little bee.
It was all right.
I like it. Thanks again, Jan.
But I've been grounded from it since that trip, so.
That meanie.
Roman numerals, that's another thing that...
Those died with the Romans.
When I was in school, it was a big deal to learn Roman numerals. For some reason, I don't know why. The only practical application I've ever had for Roman numerals... Super Bowls and the years movies are made when you look at the copyright, because it's always MCM, CCLXI or whatever,
Wow. Yeah.
So, that's a 1959 movie.
Yeah, I can't. I have to write down Roman numerals and then process through them, because I can never understand, like, if the I is before the V, then it's like a 4. Right. But how do you break all that down? Like,
I understand.
I'm not Roman numeral fluid.
And there's no reason to be.
Yeah.
Is what it's like, why did we spend so much time learning Roman numerals? I mean, some stuff, I get it. It's, this is the gate. If you wrap your head around this, you're going into physics or something or whatever.
Yeah.
But, being good at calligraphy doesn't mean you're going to be an English major or anything like that. So
I can write calligraphy.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you use that skill?
I don't.
Okay.
Other than to flex on podcasts.
I'm so impressed. I am so terribly impressed.
But that's in my pursuit of an art career prior to computers and all that. When it was still graphic design.
Sure.
I had to learn how to write calligraphy. And I did use it. I think, I want to say I used it for our wedding invitations, which was 24 years ago. I don't know. That's another thing that's, it's just dead. So.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
So what's going to be dead in the bicycle world? What's going to go kaput, extinct, or
29ers? They're all going to die. It's funny because
27.5s are getting close.
27.5 needs to die. It was funny last night. One of the gifts that was exchanged was a beautiful mountain bike tire, but it was a 26-inch tire.
Okay.
And it was like, ooh, this is, oh, fuck. There was an abnormal amount of grips being exchanged. There was probably, so we had 21 gifts total. So 21 people exchanging gifts, participating in the gift exchange. And there were probably close to a dozen pairs of grips that were mingled in with other gifts.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because the whole premise is don't go buy something. We all have bike parts that are sitting in our garage that were gifted to us, or we purchased and didn't put to use, or we bought and changed our mind, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, or you bought a pair of handlebars, you tried them out for a week, and you went, not so much. Yeah. So that's the premise for everything. And I actually brought a pair of grips as well. I bring grips and bacon strips, plugs, and a little rack doohickey that goes on your seat post that happened to find its way in my garage via Josh Dean, I think. I was supposed to hand it off to Adam Phillips, and then by the time I got it to Adam, he was like, I don't even need that. And it wasn't because of that. It was because he decided to go a different route.
He went a different direction.
And then Josh Dean had already moved to Arkansas. So I was like, it was part of my gift.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure somebody appreciates it. But, yeah, I mean, the grips make all the sense in the world, though, because everybody's...
Yeah, but people are... Like, I'm a grip whore. Like, I want ESI chunkies on my mountain bikes, and I like the grip I like on my Fargo, So if somebody gives me a pair of Ergons, I'm not going to use them.
Understood.
Because I like what I like.
Grips are one of those things. I rarely see any reason to change if I'm happy with what I have. You change them when they wear out, but nope, that's worked perfectly well. There's no reason for me to try out this whatever.
The best bike component is the one you never think about while you're riding.
And that's, yeah.
If it disappears and you don't ever think about it on a ride, it's perfect.
Yep.
Saddles, same way. Like, I get used to a particular kind of saddle, and that becomes, it needs to be on all my bikes. I don't have like 5 different saddles on my bikes.
I still lean heavily Brooks, but I think we've spoken about it before. Current Brooks isn't what Brooks used to be.
Are you on a cadmium? Have you?
I have those as well.
What do you think about that? I have not put any time in on one of those. I've only seen them. I ran with Brooks titanium swallows for quite some time, but they got stupid spendy, and I just didn't see the lifetime of them just wasn't worth the price of investment. But by today's standards, bicycle components, they're not that expensive.
They're not out of line like they were, but they're also not of my opinion, not of the quality they were for whatever reason.
Like, I was good to get maybe 2 or 3 years out of a $300 titanium railed saddle,
right.
But just because the leather it was either so thin or maybe I don't know what I'm doing. But I was also using it on a mountain bike, which is probably not the smartest thing. But I've never been accused of being smart.
The cambiums, the best way to...
Is it cambium or cadmium?
I thought it was CAMB.
You're saying Pam or Pam? Pam?
The Brooks all-weather saddle, the best way to explain it in what you were just describing, I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
It's better than a lot of other saddles that are out there, but the traditional Brooks leather is far superior in my world.
Yeah.
That said, the traditional Brooks leather is kind of unobtainable. So the newer Brooks leather...
You think they changed their leather? Or you think they changed their processing? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Brooks... You know what? Look, I've got this crazy internet machine in front of me. Let's look and see what they espouse as to what they do. Because I thought that they tanned all their leather in-house. Because it is a Brooks saddle.
I think they changed their quality of leather to some extent. I think their process is still similar to what it was, but I think there might be more automation involved somewhere in the process than there used to be.
Cambium.
Isn't that what I said?
No.
I said CAMB.
Yeah, you did. I said cadmium. I don't know these things.
Well, that's what I'm here for, set you straight.
Man, we don't have enough time for all that. Let's see.
This is episode 41. I expect this to be a 200 episode process at least.
By the end of this 200 episodes. Saddles. I was looking for, their like heritage and, we've been making since our founding in 1866, Brooks saddles have been crafted by hand to timeless designs and become the choice of discerning riders. From shaping and durability of vegetable tanned leather to the immediate flexible comfort of natural rubber, we continue to seek out and choose the very highest quality of materials to offer people who love to ride.
So they still use real leather. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the grade changed a little bit that they were using.
Yeah, they're not using Horween or
I'm not a leather expert.
Chromexcel
so I can't speak to that level of detail, but there is a difference. And there seems to be a difference and it's subtle. It's nothing that just jumps out at you. But there just seems to be a difference in the craftsmanship as well.
Look at this girl right here.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, they've had the springy things
I know,
forever.
But that's springs on springs.
Yeah. So what? Brooks was bought out 2012, 2014, or whatever.
I think so, somewhere in that area.
And
that is a sexy saddle right there. C17 special, and it's white. Ooh. That is dead sexy. Look at that. That looks like a sports car. Can you see that?
I do see it. So my issue with the cambiums has been that
it's like a leather overlay of a nylon.
Yeah, it's very abrasive, though.
Abrasive?
It's a bar tape I actually love, but it's not spongy. It's not elasticy. It's a
woven material.
It's woven.
Lizard Skins make some like that. There's quite a few brands that make.
I think it was Soma. Anyway,
that's possible as well.
But anyway, so what was the term you just used?
Woven.
Woven. So it's a woven material that's the cover over the cambium. Mm-hmm. So it's a very fine mesh like this pad here. Mm-hmm. So it's abrasive.
Okay.
And it wears out your shorts. Or my shorts anyway. Maybe it's all the weight that I put on it has something to do with that. But it wears out the chamois and the shorts quicker than other saddles have for me. But again, for whatever reason, and maybe it's the abrasiveness of it, maybe there's a little bit more, for lack of a better term, traction or adherence or whatever.
Sure.
But I'm not as loosey-goosey moving around on the saddle with it. I don't want it to sound like it sticks or anything like that, but it's just, you notice it. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Not really, but we'll let you run with it.
Like a Brooks saddle, it's silky smooth, and you just...
Yeah, but they develop a grip over time.
It forms to your structure.
No, but I'm saying the gloss on the leather, there's a word for it. When you first get it, it's almost burnished a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you could fall off the bike at first when you first get on them. And
then they kind of develop a little micro texture where it's actually
a little
grip.
bit. But the cambium is much more grippy.
Yeah,
I guess is the way to put it, and it doesn't conform.
Yeah,
like the leather does, or at least I haven't experienced that it does. It gets more pliable over time.
Yeah.
But it's not conforming, so there's a difference there.
So they don't even make the Swallow with titanium rails any longer, which is interesting. They only make one saddle with titanium rails now, which I think is interesting.
Which one's that now? Is it a Swift tie?
The B17 special titanium.
B17 tie? That doesn't...
B.
No, I understand. B17 is their class. That doesn't make sense to put tie rails on a B17.
It's $300. Per their website, this is the only saddle they make that has tie rails.
But they still make a Swallow and a Swift, though, yes?
They still make a Swallow. I did not look for a Swift. They have literally like hundreds of saddles. Yeah, they make the Swift. They have quite a few. Swift, the regular Swift, the Swift Eroico. It's literally like erotica without the T. Without the T.
Brooks has some interesting looking bike packing bags that I'm...
Yeah, I was just looking at their bags because they make old school bags and then they make new school bags. They have like Revelate style looking bags as well.
Yes, and that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
the new school bike packing stuff they have. I was this close to pulling the trigger on a setup of theirs just because it looked so interesting and I wanted to see. And they had really good. It was stupid pricing on them it was like buy one get two free or something like that sort of thing for a little bit.
Now then, yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, their bags don't look. I mean, they don't look like anything special, but they also don't look. They don't look bad.
It looked like they had. It looked like the detail was potentially higher quality than what's usually out there for about the same price point, and that's what I wanted to do was to bring them in and do a side by side comparison.
Yeah.
With some stuff, but
I'm about to have to replace my half frame. What do they call that now? I forgot the name of the bag. It's a Revelate, but
it's the Revelate one.
It's not a Tangle.
It's not? Are you sure?
Is that what it is?
It's the Tangle, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm about to have to replace mine.
Just wore out or what?
Yeah, the zipper's getting wore out. But I got to get a helmet first. My helmet is like I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. It's been crashed a couple of times. It's cracked.
Yeah, it's time to get a new helmet.
Parts of the stuff is melted.
It's time. So, what helmet do you have now?
Hell, I don't know. Specialized, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Man, that's you're talking about grips and saddles and helmets.
I have a weird shaped head.
That's one of the toughest ones. The toughest for me are shoes and helmets. And it never fails. I find one that works for me, and it's discontinued the next time I need it.
Yeah, that's the shitty part. Helmets, I think I'm going to get a POC. There was a helmet that Proctor brought to North Shore one night to sell to somebody. So it was already sold, and I checked it out, and I was like, I could wear this. This helmet I could wear. And they were having a recent sale, and it's one of those things I got sidetracked. I had it in my cart and I got sidetracked and didn't buy it. But anyways, I will be purchasing a new helmet for 2024.
Understood.
And then I'll probably have to get a new pair of shoes for 2024. And that's what you're talking about. Like shoes, I've been hooked on Pearl Izumi. Their Alp X series of shoes has been, I've been in love with those for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and I've probably gone through 2, 3, 4 pairs. I think I'm on my 4th pair, so it must be much longer than 2 or 3 years. But those shoes are just, for what I'm doing, they're beautiful. Not racing, and I think I'm running their gravel series right now. But because they have a nice sole, they're comfortable to walk in, and I pair them with the platform style cage of the XT pedal, the trail pedal, so you don't get hot spots, and they're pretty freaking awesome. Some of my favorite shoes I've ever owned, especially at that price point. Oh, they're on sale right now too. But I went through CDs. I was a big CD fan forever, but to get a decent CD shoe nowadays, you're looking at $300. You can buy a shitty pair of CDs, and you're going to end up throwing them away.
Right.
But what's going on with Kevin for 2024? You going to get your knee fixed?
I mean, it's getting better. It's a process.
It's on the slow boat from China.
I mean, it's much. My knees are much improved over what they were 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So it is a process. But like I noticed it a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow will be. When I was marking the Holiday Ramble course, I was able to skitter around, putting out arrows.
You were skittering?
I was skittering.
Wow.
Huh. In and out of ditches and stuff. I mean, so as an example, 6 months ago when I was marking course and I'm having to cross a ditch to get to a signpost, I would have to kind of shuffle around and find the lowest levelest.
Shimmy. You were shimmying.
I was shimmying.
Not skittering.
And now I'm walking pretty normal to get across a loose rock ditch, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense
whatsoever. So there's definitely improvement there.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have issues where, like, things like cooking, for example, standing up at the stove for a couple hours doing a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for that for a while, sort of thing. But it's better than it was.
Is that you're going to pay for it with your knees or with your back?
My knees and eventually my back too,
Yeah.
but mostly the knees.
Yeah.
So it's a process, and it's hard to differentiate what's just torn up knees and what's getting old.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of the two. I know
Getting old sucks.
Getting
man.
old sucks like hell.
But it's better than the alternative.
There is that. Now, the one thing you were talking about needing a new helmet. I encourage you. Now, obviously, helmets are very, very personalized.
Talk to me. Steer me.
I encourage you to look into the Smith helmets if you haven't before. There's a lot of bang for the buck there.
Okay.
But again, a good value in a helmet means nothing if it doesn't fit your noggin the right way.
Yeah.
And that's really the first criteria.
I have a little bitty old peanut head. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not even going to pretend to know which helmets may or may not fit your head. But if you haven't tried on the Smiths, I encourage you to try on the Smiths. Like Pox don't fit my head at all, so I know I can't do those.
that's fair.
Lasers and Smiths fit my head really well.
I've never tried on a Smith helmet.
Smith has some really good features at good pricing. You can get a really, MIPS and everything. You can get a helmet under $100 and it's not super heavy. But they've got the higher end stuff too if you're looking for that.
Yeah, I've never had a MIPS helmet yet.
Understood.
I'm a late adopter to technology.
But I mean, does MIPS really matter? I don't know. I mean, that's definitely the picture that's been painted the past 5, 8 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I think there's a new technology, and they kind of insinuate that MIPS really isn't that. I don't know.
Right.
How much of it is real and how much of it is just marketing hype? You need something different, something new.
I mean, in theory, the tech makes sense. It computes in my brain.
It seems
but then again, I've wrecked a bunch and hit my head on a non-MIPS helmet, so maybe it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there.
I get it. I get it. For me, it is it's a hot button though, because I had 2 serious concussions in just the past few years.
Yeah. And
it's possible a MIPS helmet actually saved my life, but maybe the MIPS had nothing to do with it.
Well, I get through Expert Voice, we have a deal on Smith. But the problem is I don't want to order Helmet, sight unseen.
No, you need to try on. You need to try on it, and that's where it gets. That's where it gets tricky.
Sorry.
It's personally, I'm one of those. I think it's a douchey move to go to a bike shop and try on their helmets and then order them mail order.
Yeah, that's
I really do.
yeah. But the problem is, like, Gabe has like, I think he carries like maybe 6 helmets. You know, like if I want to buy a helmet, I'm really kind of forced down a lane. You know.
Well, no, again, this is where I will. If I'm going to try on a helmet, and the bike shop has a helmet that fits my noggin just right, and it's a $250 helmet. If it fits my noggin just right, I'm probably going to buy the $250 helmet. Mm-hmm. But again, to me, it's where the helmet comes into play is the fit is everything for a helmet.
Agreed. Agreed.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But in turn, if I find a helmet I like and I get it for $250 at this bike shop that I don't usually go to, but they had helmets I could try on, and I bought that one, I will, if I have to replace that helmet and I find there are other models that are lesser priced and it's something the bike shop doesn't carry because they only have a few. You don't have my color, you don't have my size or whatever else. I can order it in, but it might be 3 months. Well, that doesn't do me any good when I need a helmet today.
Yeah.
That's something I will mail order a helmet if I know this model fits my head this way. I'll do the same thing with shoes, not because I don't want to give the business to the shop. We're just at the point where things like helmets and shoes, it's tough to find that at a shop these days.
Yeah, a lot of shops don't stock that stuff.
It's understandable because how much of it, you have to have a warehouse full of shit.
Yeah, you have to have, 10 different shoe models, and then you have to have 30 different sizes.
Right.
I'm exaggerating slightly, but still, you just to stock the inventory to actually help somebody with shoes has got to be just a warehouse. I don't think items like that are a fit for the modern bike shop. But a store like RBM does that. They'll have 20 different shoes and have it in every size.
Potentially. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have an RBM that I visit regularly.
Yeah, I haven't been in an RBM in.
Last time
couple of 5 years.
Last time I heard they had narrowed their floor space and inventory substantially.
I think that's kind of the deal with the entire market.
Right. But I'm not adverse to visiting an REI for something like that, though.
Yeah.
I've got my REI membership. REI is not usually my first stop, but I'm not an anti-REI guy.
Yeah. Oh, I love REI. I haven't been there in far too long, but I'm a big fan of REI. REI is one of those stores, like, I can spend more time in an REI than I can in a bike shop because I just wander around and just look at everything while I'm there.
That old REI that off of 635 where they used to do the Dorba meetings was that way.
Yeah.
The 2-story building that had everything and then big, but like the South Lake REI,
I like the South Lake REI.
I don't dislike it, but I don't have that same browsing experience in there. It seems a little more sterile and limited stuff.
Who hurt you, Kevin? That REI is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it.
I just think there's less stuff to browse there.
That's true. There is. It's not near as big of a footprint, and it's not 2-story. Wasn't the one in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was 2-story.
That was 2-story.
You know what else I miss is Backwoods. That was a good store as well. I
never spent a whole lot of time there. The only one was the 7th Street one.
Yeah, they used to have the FWIMBA meetings there.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. I did go to a couple of FWIMBA meetings there.
Yeah.
So, is there going to be a formal Denton organization similar to FWIMBA or Dorba or whatever?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think maybe there's stuff going on. I'm definitely not in tune with everything. But
I was just asking, generally speaking. It seems like y'all are getting more active and organized. And
thank you.
I said seems.
Your words are very gracious.
I preface that with seems.
Yeah. No, I think we're just looking to continuously expand trail. My goal and hope is that anybody that lives in the Denton and surrounding area can ride, 2 or 3 miles and hop on some trail. There's no reason with as much land is available and is owned by the city and by the Corps that you couldn't reasonably ride 5 miles and get on trail or something.
So the like what y'all are doing with the South Park Trail and whatever else, that's just the focus, or does like the existing Denton mountain bike trail have anything to do with?
No, we've had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
But there are future projects that we fully anticipate being involved in, like this hilltop change up that's going on right here.
Yep.
When all that gets settled out, there's going to be a big sprawling park underneath that overpass, and there's already existing trail that we've identified. So part of what my effort has been is proofing a bunch of trail that's not exactly legal right now, but it's not illegal.
Surveying.
Yes, for the city.
For the city, on behalf of the city.
And I have conferred with reps from the city and said, hey, this trail is proven. This is a connector. If we put minimal work in, this trail's already cut. It's already, it goes from here to here. And with minimal effort and with minimal signage, Denton can espouse that, hey, we have 15 miles of new trail.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get these trails all established as actual trails and then make connectors so we can tie all of the stuff in.
Now, is this a Denton communication? Is this an ACOE communication? Is it both?
It's Denton. We're running everything through the city of Denton, through their Trails and Parks rep. And then he's in communication with the ACOE and stuff.
So, okay, let me try this a slightly different way.
Talk to me like I'm dumb.
No, I don't mean it that way. I mean to make sure I'm asking the question correctly. Is the land itself that these surveyed trails on, is that technically Denton Park property now, or is it this is ACOE property that falls in Denton County?
I think the majority of it is ACOE that falls in Denton County.
Okay.
But a lot of it is just undeveloped because of various reasons.
And then the trails themselves, are they just bandit trails that local kids over the years have strewn together type stuff, or is are they formal trails that are for other use, or?
D, all of the above. Some of them are easement trails, that fall onto high lines and are, utility lines, gas lines, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then others are probably, bandit trails that were, some of them are fishing trails that have been strung together.
Sure. This is how I get to my fishing hole.
Yeah, pieced together over the years, whereas, it's not just all spider webbed out. And then some of them are trails that are meant for other purposes. So it's a little bit of everything. But I feel like the time of the year that we ride them, we're kind of, typically we're the only people on the trail, and the rare occasion that we come up to anybody else, our exchanges are very pleasant.
Understood. No, I get it.
Speaking of, you know where Old Alton Bridge is, right?
Yes, I do.
You know the parking lot that is at Old Alton Bridge?
I do.
So do you know the parking lot that is right down from Old Alton Bridge, where we always call it the equestrian parking lot, because that's where the horse trailers are always parked.
Yes.
Did you see a couple of weeks ago there was a man found murdered there?
My wife mentioned that the other day, but I didn't. That's all. I didn't hear any details.
I haven't
on
heard the follow up to it, but I told my wife, I said that's got to be a drug deal gone bad or some kind of domestic issue. I mean, that area is not seedy at
No,
all.
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So it's a little concerning, but it happened overnight. He was found at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So they suspect it happened at wee hours of the morning. Sorry, didn't mean to bring the room down.
No. I heard there was an incident, but I don't know any details related to that. Man, I was about to go somewhere and I lost it. No big deal.
Go somewhere.
No, I can't remember now. It fell out of my head. One of those using up a helmet moments.
We were talking about trail and pedestrian trail and horse trail.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, so that's the question. The part of the green belt that extends into the park that is always referred to as the horse trail. Mm-hmm. It's not equestrian only.
It's not. No.
So how come we can't extend that to other trails? Why is it okay for cyclists to be on that horse trail and other horse trails?
That was kind of the question. That's kind of where I was going with my questioning framework there. Different entities, different landowners sometimes have trails that are designated for specific usage. The example you're giving there of what's commonly referred to as the equestrian trail from the Greenbelt into Isle de Bois, and it actually extends well past Isle de Bois.
Oh yeah, I've ridden it.
That is not categorized as an equestrian specific trail. It is categorized as a multi-use trail. Yeah. So bicycles are technically allowed.
Yeah.
Now, over the years, bicycles haven't been using it very much, so the equestrian people have gotten used to pretty much having it to themselves.
Yeah. I think as an ambassador of cycling, as we all should be, though, if I'm ever on a trail and I encounter a horse, I always dismount, make verbal contact, and, make myself known as a person.
Sure.
Instead of some weird object, and then I communicate with the horse rider. Hey, how do you want me to proceed?
How do you want to do this?
And I think if we all did that, we could all get along much better.
I think it would make a difference.
Yeah. I mean,
that said, there are definitely
Strava holes,
but there are definitely trails that per landowners are specifically designated for certain usage. Mm-hmm. ACOE definitely has trails in our neck of the woods that are labeled for non-bicycle usage.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to say Corps of Engineers is, I think, the only one that has equestrian-only trails. I think most of the others that are understood to be equestrian trails or horse trails are technically multi-use. Mm-hmm. But if it's a sandy, plains area that's all stirred up by horse hooves, generally speaking, that's not an interesting bicycle ride. So some of those trails, there's no reason that a bicycle would be interested in riding it. But there's other multi-use trails where everybody should get along.
Yeah.
And I agree with you completely. It's I definitely abide by the old school bikes yield to everyone.
Yeah.
I know that's not very popular with the newer generation of mountain bike riders.
Well, I think there should be courtesy extended from all directions.
No, everybody should be courteous to everybody.
Yeah.
But it makes the most sense for the bicycle riders to always just plan. And yielding doesn't mean that you come to a complete stop and say, you go on your way. Yielding means, hey, you tell me what to do, or this is what I'm thinking of doing. Does this work for you?
Yeah. And
if the hiker or the horseback rider goes, no, I don't want to do it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
We yield to them.
Yeah. Except for hikers on North Shore. They can.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah,
I'm kidding, but
but you're not.
but on a trail like Knob Hills, where you have horse trail that runs almost parallel to the actual bike trail, I get that, But then beyond the end of Knob Hills, where there's not an official bike trail, that's all considered equestrian trail. Although you rarely see horses on that thing. And every time I've ever encountered horses on there, it's been a mutual respect thing, So
My understanding is that to appease both groups back in the day, the Knob Hills Trail, except for the short section that you're talking about, the parallel from the
that comes off of Dunham,
Road.
Yeah.
To keep so that horses wouldn't ride the Knob Hills Trail. The Corps of Engineers designated the stuff in between Twin Coves and Knob Hills as equestrian only. And that way, that would keep horses off the North Shore Trail and the Knob Hills Trail. And that was the unofficial compromise that the Corps of Engineers came up with, because the bicycle riders didn't want the horse hooves on the mountain bike trails, is ultimately what it boiled down to.
Which I get. And I don't disagree with.
So that was the logic.
At all.
That was the logic.
Okay. Can't we all just get along?
I mean,
why are horse people so high and mighty?
There's some high and mighty bicycle riders out there, too.
Yeah, I don't like those guys either. Or girls.
Are you using that as a coaster? That was just an example. Yeah. I haven't made you your official one yet.
Oh, I'm getting an official one? I thought we were clear about the cease and desist.
Okay. I'm assuming you don't want a Mad Dog one, and I need to dial in the settings a little better.
I saw that. I got third place. Hell yes. Participation trophy.
But I'm going to go out on a limb here.
What can we do in 2024 to make our trail systems more rider-friendly, more all-inclusive?
We're back to that population density thing, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I haven't been. It's been a number of years since I've been in the no man's land between Twin Coves and Knob Hills on a bicycle.
Yeah, same. I never go that way. It's illegal.
And the last time I was there, I was actually given permission by the Corps of Engineers to be out there. The explanation I was given was that actually they are not equestrian trails. They are multi-use trails. But that informal compromise that I was talking about was basically the agreement. So I went out there and I rode and I ran into a group of equestrians.
Yeah.
And I was very respectful and very courteous and very agreeable. And they raised absolute holy hell with the higher level of the Corps of Engineers.
How did you catch wind of that?
Because I heard about it from the people I had worked with at the local office.
Oh, okay.
After the fact. And basically, squeaky wheels with money have more influence at the higher levels of certain federal offices than just a couple of schmucks on bicycles.
That makes sense.
Was my takeaway from that. That said, I've never heard of anyone ever getting ticketed or prosecuted or anything like that.
What are they going to do?
And
you're going to get thrown in jail for riding the trail?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not condoning it. If somebody chooses to do that, I'm not condemning it either.
Those dirty hooligans.
Yeah, those hooligans that are out there.
I did have one encounter this year on the trail that's up towards Highland Village. There's a lot of foot trail up there.
Okay.
And some of that, especially coming out of Pilot Knoll, Is that the name of that park? Pilot Knoll?
No, Pilot Knoll's the one way up there at Isle de Bois. Isn't it?
I think it's Pilot Knoll.
Okay, anyway.
Anyways, we came around the corner and there's a lady walking her dogs, and she just immediately starts berating me. And I'm like, hold up. You started this conversation way the wrong way. And she just starts going, no. You are not supposed to be on this trail. And I was like, okay. I wasn't going to. I love having confrontations where I'm just super cool.
Right.
And they're losing their shit.
Right.
It amuses me. And so she starts going, you need to get off your bike now. And I'm like, probably not going to happen. And she goes, this is a horse trail. And I go, okay, where's your horse? And she just got so livid. And so she's like, I am calling the cops. And I said, okay. I said, have a nice day. And we just rode off. I was like, and Garrett brought it to my attention because I didn't come from another country where the rules of engagement are completely different. He just told me, he goes, how crazy is it that a woman in the middle of the woods can yell and berate at 3 grown men when she has no means to defend herself? Like, what kind of a world do we live in where she thinks that's perfectly acceptable to just lose her crap and act like she's the governing body? Like, she could just carry on and leave us to be, you know? Like, not to say that we would do anything, because we wouldn't.
Right.
But there's nothing stopping us from just beating the shit out of her or whatever. It's weird that we live in a society where a woman in the middle of the woods thinks it's perfectly acceptable to yell and try to tell somebody what to do.
I don't think it's perfectly acceptable for her to think that she can yell and do whatever she wants.
Well,
but
she thinks it is, though. That's what I was saying.
I think it's a good thing that we live where somebody can do that and feel fairly safe about it.
Yeah.
I think that's a better situation than being somewhere where, well, if I do this, it's likely I'm gonna get pummeled.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but at the same rate, we've lost sight of that aspect. It's kind of like people that talk shit on the internet all the time. They would never say that kind of stuff in real life to somebody's face, you know? Like Mike Tyson says, people are not used to getting punched in the face.
They're all talk till they get punched in the face or whatever, something like that. I mean, I get what you're saying from her lack of respect aspect of things, but from the perspective of no, she shouldn't think that's the proper thing to do by any stretch of the imagination, but she should definitely feel that she's not endangering herself in that environment by any stretch of the imagination as well. But I mean, those are two totally different topics there.
Yeah. It was one of those few times where I wish I would have had a GoPro running, just because she was so apeshit crazy.
My guess is the majority of those situations, to be honest with you, is because she has had a previous encounter with a cyclist or cyclists where the people weren't as respectful as you were. And that's where it does kind of go sideways on us, and it's why I do get perturbed and upset when I see people talking about the interactions they have on the trails with other people, and well, I put them in their place, or
that doesn't solve anything.
No, it doesn't. It always has to be courteous and respectful. Always take the high road.
Yeah.
Even when they're the total dick, when they're the total asshole, when they're the total Karen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen. I still know some Karens out there that aren't Karens, but
what is the male equivalent of a Karen?
Chad?
Is it a Chad? I don't know.
I honestly don't.
It's funny that we have this, like, everybody knows what a Karen is at this point, but there's not this defined male equivalent of a Karen.
Well, that's awful sexist of you.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not being sexist. It's merely an observation. But
I think Karen is to the point where it's not gender specific anymore.
okay.
I think Karen itself is covers everybody of that ilk, regardless of gender.
All inclusive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, back to trail courtesy. Seriously, we really should make it a point to make every interaction, whether it's on the trail or not, courteous. And if someone tries to escalate things and berate and stuff, remain calm.
Well,
it gives you the upper hand in the conversation if you keep your head and you don't engage on their level.
That's probably what I get thrown off by when I do see the comments from people that have negative interactions and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, I've literally been all over this country in all sorts of trails and all sorts of situations, and I can probably count on 2 fingers the number of negative interactions I've had with other trail users.
Yeah.
So when I see the same people having issues over and over and over,
Common denominator.
what's the common denominator there?
Yeah, I agree. I think I've put in my 10,000 hours on random trails all over as well, and I might have had maybe 2, 3 negative interactions.
Right.
And then I've definitely been on trails where I should not have been there, and come across people.
And I mean, I've come across stuff that what this person's doing, they're not supposed to be doing.
Sure.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
But you didn't Karen out on them.
no. I've tried to be courteous
Yeah.
and say, hey, wrong way, or hey, horses are supposed to be over here. I just finished fixing this segment that you tore up last month when it rained.
That's what I think that, and this is going to sound very biased, I think, but there does need to be horse-specific trails, but they don't need to be relegated to horses only. But I don't think that horses should be on cycling trails because of what their hooves do to the surface.
I follow what you're saying, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I also recognize that maybe
It's almost a double standard.
the simplest compromise is segregation.
We tried that.
We're not getting racist here. No,
tried
we're not
that.
going into we're not going into race.
But, well, here's the thing, though. I think bikes are not going to damage a horse trail. The interaction has to be mutual respect, but horses are going to damage a cycling trail. That's what I'm getting at.
I understand, I don't argue that myself. But there are definitely plenty of equestrians and plenty of hikers that actually turn that argument around the other way, and back to the hiking trails that they don't want bicycles on. They say the bicycles tear up the trails. Equestrians will say that bicycles. I don't follow the logic, but equestrians, that's one of the things they say is
That's crazy talk.
I'm just saying it's something they put. That is something they put in their arguments when they want to keep their trails exclusive. So don't. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the arguments you're making are the same arguments the other groups make to keep bicycles off trails.
Okay.
So it's always a ballet. It's always a ballet.
Yeah.
We don't. I think around here in North Texas, I think we don't have as much conflict along those lines as other areas of the country do. You start getting into some of the Colorado stuff, some of the New Mexico stuff, wilderness areas and things like that specifically. there's a huge movement to keep bicycles out of certain areas, and the logic that's applied is that bicycles tear up the trails. I think that's a surrogate logic, though. I think the real issue is
fucking e-bikes.
The real issue is a wilderness area that is 100 miles across. If you allow access to bicycles, and you literally enable thousands of people to go in there, and just in general, it's not cyclists. It's just more people that get into an area, more people that do stupid shit. So that's
you mean from like a liability standpoint, like search and rescue, or you mean like littering
and tearing up stuff, and
littering,
tearing up stuff, cutting down trees for firewood or whatever.
Yeah,
stuff like you get.
But people that are going to do that stuff that's like that nefarious are going to travel onto that trail to do that shit anyways.
They're not gonna hike 100 miles across a caldera,
yeah,
but they may hop on an e-bike and go 20 miles in.
That's true.
So you follow, that's the logic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm saying that I think ultimately that's their argument, but they can't.
Enough with the gatekeeping on trails.
I think to some extent it's justified, though, because there's a bunch of douchebags on our trails right now riding bikes, and not just e-bikes. There's a bunch of douchebags on bikes.
There's always going to be douchebags
that have zero respect for the outdoors and other outdoors users.
Yeah,
and for whatever reason, it's a higher level of it now than it was 10 years ago, than it was 20 years ago. I don't know what that difference is. I'm not saying it justifies keeping bicycles off of the land or out of certain areas. I'm not saying it justifies it. I'm saying I have a better understanding of why those people are concerned about it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I think it's our own fault. I think as a cycling community, we have stepped away from the emphasis on sharing the outdoors.
Yeah, but who are we to gatekeep trails? You know?
We shouldn't. That's my point. We shouldn't be.
Yeah. I think we all just need to get along.
Wouldn't that be cool if we could?
It's pretty ridiculous.
Holy hell, how did we get an hour and 20 minutes into this?
We're bullshitting.
We're bullshitting. Lots of bullshit. We kind of talked about bikes a little bit this time.
More trail advocacy. But you think about the whole Butterfield Overland Trail.
Yeah.
That probably started as game trail, walking trail, then it progressed into, okay, now we're going to stagecoach this, and then it was...
Now it's Highway 69.
Now it's highways. So, the same thing. Most of our trails that we ride that are not specifically hand-cut by a governing body like Denton Trail or ACOE
Cross Timbers Equestrian Society.
Or... Dorba or Fwimba or something. A lot of those started as game trails.
Sure, they did.
Or
motorcycle trails.
Or motorcycle trails. But they all started as something that wasn't intended to be what it is.
Understood.
So it's natural progression. It's going to turn into more.
It's natural progression, but people hate change. Generally speaking, people don't like change.
Yeah. Change is inevitable, and change is never comfortable. Isn't always comfortable. How about that? But resistance is futile.
You can't always get what you want, but sometimes.
If you try real hard, you get what you need. Let's get out of here. I got to make some gumbo.
Gumbo! I'm looking forward to that.
Got to make some gumbo.